I would never hurt anybody.
I was choking him so hard, his nose started to bleed.
I'm almost at a loss for words. You can't even make this stuff up. Now, I'm sure you could already tell from the thumbnail and the title, but today we're going to be talking about the self-proclaimed cooking channel, Cooking with Jack. Now, before I even get into all the drama and all the different stuff people are talking about, I wanted to take a quick look at the type of content he makes for the people that don't know and do a bit of a mini food review here. Now, before we even get into his cooking videos, I just wanted to give a quick heads up to anyone who's eating. So if you are a person that's eating and watching this video, you either might want to just put the food away for now or just come back to the video later, because the food that this guy makes is absolutely vile. It's like the dirty patty from that one SpongeBob episode that they were gonna like feed the health inspector. I wouldn't even feed what he makes to a dog. Actually, scratch that. Even a dog is smart enough to know to stay at least 50 feet away from whatever he's making. Like, I'm literally positive that his kitchen door is one of those, like, biohazard radiation doors that they have, like, sealing off, like, nuclear zones or something. But that's enough with the yapping and trash talking. Let's actually get into taking a look at some of the food he makes. So we're gonna be kicking this off with his McCormick bag and season chicken recipe. Now, of course, I'm obviously not gonna sit here and play the entire video, so we're just gonna skip around to get the gist of what he's doing.
Okay, if you're just doing the chicken in the bag recipe, 350 degrees for 30 minutes, 2.5 pounds of chicken that's seasoned with some vegetables. I'm gonna cook a little longer because I'm putting them side by side, so it's gonna take longer to cook.
So starting us off, he has 2 batches of chicken right next to each other, and I guess he just finished seasoning both of them, and the one on the left looks to be the bag-in chicken McCormick recipe or whatever it is, so it looks to be like he's comparing the McCormick recipe versus his own. So as of right now, it doesn't look that awful. He tossed a bit of seasoning on there, and he says that he's going to toss them in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes, so let's see how the results turn out.
Take a look. I have to say, this looks more attractive than that.
Now, before we even get to the dissection to see how the chicken actually looks, you might be thinking, hey, that almost looks no different from when he put it in the damn oven. And you'd honestly be right there, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's not judge a book by its cover. Maybe he has some sort of unknown secret recipe where, you know, the outside doesn't look that great, but the inside is just the ultimate delicacy ever.
So let's cut into the thigh here. Let's see what we got. Oh, you can see the juice gushing right out. Let's pull the skin back and show you. See how moist that is? The juice is running, right? Cut a piece of that right off. Leave that right there.
Now, if your first instinct was, that's clearly raw, you were obviously right. He peeled that skin back to what looks like almost a live chicken. I'm almost sure that it was less raw before he put it in the oven. He's talking about see the juice running like this is actual like seasoned meat juice or something. That is raw chicken juice. Maybe there's hope for the McCormick recipe though. Maybe it saves him.
Now let's cut into this. Pull the skin back. Cut right into this. Look how juicy it is. Look at the pool of, look at that. That's great.
And of course, it looks like McCormick couldn't even save the day here. This one is somehow rawer than the first one, and significantly more raw than it was before he put it in the oven. This is unbelievable. He's talking about, look at that pool of juice here. The pool of blood? What are you talking about, man?
This did a great job. That's a lot of juice. Didn't cook well right there, so I'm not going to eat that. See how that is?
He's talking about didn't cook that well right there. I'm not gonna eat that. I hope that you're not gonna eat any of this. What do you mean didn't cook that well? It didn't cook at all. He was talking about he put it in the oven for 30, 40 minutes. What did you preheat the fucking oven to? Room temperature? All you did was thaw the meat out. I swear I've seen less blood in a fucking live chicken. The only way that that could ever be considered juice is if you cook the chicken in like red wine or fruit punch or something. And the worst part about all of this is he goes on to try the chicken. I'm literally gonna spare you guys the trouble and not even show you the sight of him eating this. Oh, and don't worry, for all of you out there thinking, oh sushi, this was a fluke, you specifically picked this one. Don't worry, we'll have one more example here. I'm not gonna sit here looking at these all day, even though I could. They're super entertaining, but we're gonna show one more example here. We're gonna be taking a look at something a bit easier to make, a plain old cheeseburger.
Little drop of teriyaki, because it is a teriyaki bison burger. Beautiful. Look at that. Grab yourself a piece of cheese so the heat starts melting it. Slice of tomato right on top.
Now, there's so much wrong with this already. Just by looking at it, I can tell that he didn't season that burger nearly enough, and in half of his videos, he just doesn't season his food at all. I swear the only seasoning that he's looking for is the hopes that the Teflon coating wears off of his pan and absorbs into the food or something, because there's no seasoning in sight. Also, not to mention the fact that he just put a plain slice of cheese on there. The least he could have done is melt it. He did say, oh, the heat from the burger will melt it, and that may be the case sometimes if you let the burger sit long enough and if you cook it hot enough, but it sure won't be the case in this scenario, considering he immediately followed it up with a cold tomato.
There we go. Oh yeah. Gorgeous. I know it's gonna be beautiful. I just know it. Oh, nice and pink, the way I like it.
It's raw. It's fucking raw.
Ah, just the way I like it, pink. Now, I'm no chef, so I'm not too sure how you're supposed to cook hamburgers, but for the most part, I think you are supposed to cook them all the way through. But for the ones that you can make like rare or medium rare, this is far from rare. This is raw. I'm not even 100% positive it's completely dead yet. I don't know if he's just trying to reduce his gas bill or what, but it seems like the same situation as the last recipe where he preheat the oven to fucking room temperature, but I'm almost certain that he didn't even have the fucking burners on. I'm almost positive he used a magnifying glass and the sun to just slightly brown the outside of the burger, and even that would have cooked it more than this probably. But that's enough of looking at the absolute abominations that he makes. And now that we know a bit more about who he is, we can get into the drama, and we're going to be starting with the situation regarding the clip at the beginning of the video. Now, you've probably been wondering this whole time, oh, those are some huge claims. He was talking about strangling someone. I wonder who it was. And it was none other than his own son. Yep, you heard that right. He got caught admitting that he almost strangled his son to death. So we're gonna just go ahead and start this off by looking at some of his takes on this situation.
We did a great job parenting. We didn't do the best job, but we did the best we could at the time.
So it's looking like he's coming out of the gate with cap immediately. We did a great job parenting. Which part was great? The part that you almost strangled him to death and then kicked him out of your house? Like, what are we talking about here, man?
It was like
when you're a kid.
It was rough, and he starts because he couldn't handle it. I was Mr. Strict Parent, and she just didn't do anything, and it just messed him up. And so he starts having rage issues. So we had to deal with that. And as he got into his teen years, he had a great home life. He had everything his heart desired. He never went without.
Now, he's talking about, oh yeah, I was a strict parent. There's a huge difference between strict parenting and just straight up abuse. This is 100% genuine abuse. And then he goes on to say he had a great life. He had everything he desired. What, he had everything he desired except for oxygen when you were strangling him? And he just keeps going on to say outrageous claims, just proving how delusional he is.
I wanted him at age 13 to start his own company. We talked about it. We want to encourage him to start early. We don't want him just wasting money and blowing money. We want him to earn money and get excited about something. It's his. And so by the time he's 18, he would have something that's already substantial, right? So we got him into building computers. And I took him to a shop in Huntington Beach every 3 times a week. He was interning there. They were teaching him how to put it all together. And that was where he learned how to smoke pot. And I still haven't given that one up, that I was the reason he started smoking pot. I encouraged him. I found the place, and I got my son hooked on drugs. It escalated, and he started started cursing at Tammy and May and having rage issues. And
There's a lot to break down here. Starting off with he wanted his son to have his own business at 13. 13? At 13, I was probably still playing like Xbox 360 and could barely even do my own homework. And you want him to have his own business? How would that even work? You legally just can't even do that. So he can have something by the time he's 18. Like, bro, this is his childhood and you're trying to run him into business immediately and getting upset when he doesn't succeed. And then he goes on to proclaim that he pretty much got him into smoking pot like this is some sort of achievement. And then he also says that it started making him angry. Like, I'm not too sure what drug you got him into, but if it was weed, I highly doubt that that's the reason he's angry. If you know anyone that does anything with weed or just know anything about it in general, it does quite the opposite. That's why people typically use it when they're stressed out or something to calm their nerves.
there were 2 times. Once he put his hand on me, and it wasn't like he pushed me, but it was in an aggressive way. And I took him down to the ground. I threw him down to the ground. And then the second time, he put his hands on Tammy, pushed her up against the door, and I took him to the ground, and I was going to kill him. I was choking him out, and I hadn't fought since school. The only time you stop fighting in school is the principal's coming. But this was the moment I was choking him and screaming in his ears, "You don't ever touch a woman. You don't ever touch a woman." At the top of my voice, I was choking him so hard, his nose started to bleed.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know when to stop. And his friend was in the room and stepped over us. I don't remember him leaving. But the interesting thing was, Garrett never fought me, never pushed back, never tried to hurt me or hit me. He completely submitted, which, out of respect, love, I don't know, fear, I don't know. I never understood that. So we had some rough times, and that's when we had to let him go at age 16 and say, "You're no longer ever allowed in this house."
Now, this is absolutely horrible. After hearing this, I'm surprised that this guy isn't serving some sort of jail time. He just 100% admitted to almost killing his son by strangling him to death. And then he acts like a kid here. "Oh, the last time I fought was in school, and the only way the fight was over was when the principal comes to break it up." What are you talking about, man? You're a grown man. You can't comprehend in your head that a principal isn't coming to break it up? You also can't comprehend in your head that even if your child is lashing out and like hitting people or something, you're a grown man. There's other ways to go about it other than straight up pummeling and strangling them. Hello, wake up. What are you thinking, man? He's also sitting here talking about, "Oh, I don't understand why he wasn't fighting back." Like I said a second ago, you're a grown man hovering somewhere probably around 300 pounds, and he was a 16-year-old boy, probably weighing no more than around 100 pounds, and you're talking about, "Oh, you don't know why he wasn't fighting back. Maybe it was because of respect or something." Maybe it was because he couldn't, and he didn't even have enough oxygen to probably think straight. I also just wanted to quickly bring up the point that if you're willing to admit something like this, you have to believe that it's at least somewhat normal. So for him to think that this is normal and be okay with admitting this, imagine all the stuff that he doesn't admit to and he keeps secret. Like, I'm not trying to be some sort of conspiracy Andy here and try and think about things that never happened, but all I'm saying is if something outrageous comes out about him in the future, I really wouldn't be that surprised about it. But moving on to the next point, and actually right before we get into that, if you've made it this far in the video, literally 0% of you are subscribed, so make sure to subscribe. But yeah, moving on, as bad as this situation is, like everything on the internet, it only gets worse. So moving from bombshell to bombshell, from him literally almost strangling his son to death, to him openly supporting genocide now. Now, I probably can't play the clip of it in this video, but it pretty much starts off with him saying that he went to a church and the pastor or the priest or whoever it was came out and started speaking about napalming a specific group of people and pretty much wiping them out entirely. And if it just stops right there, it's honestly not even that bad on Jack because he can't really control what the priest says and he doesn't have to agree with it, but of course it's his response that makes it bad. And instead of him responding like a normal normal person and possibly just getting up and leaving, he instead got up and immediately said, "Where do I sign up and how do I give you guys money?" And the people sitting with him at the table as well also agreed and said, "Oh, how do I set this up where it can automatically take the money out of my account to support these people?" Like, it's crazy how unaware these people can be. And at a point, I don't even think this is just being unaware of what you're saying. I think it's just them genuinely being so crazy and off the rails that they genuinely think that what they believe is somehow right. But moving on and getting close to the last part of the video, what would any shitty internet situation be without doxing? So I'm pretty sure the person that originally came out exposing all of this news and bringing it to the forefront was the channel Augusttheduck, and in that process, Cooking with Jack obviously didn't necessarily like what he was saying about him too much, so instead of just making a reply video, he pretty much sent him a ton of threatening emails saying that if he doesn't remove his video, he's gonna dox him. Now, I'm pretty sure these emails were sent to Augusttheduck's sister's email because I don't think they could find a way to contact him, but I'll toss up some of the screenshots of them on the screen, and obviously most of the information is gonna be blurred out because it's things like addresses, and August says that none of the addresses are actually his current address because he did a pretty good job at not linking his real address to any of that. Those are like his old addresses that he used when he was in like college, but they're still of course blurred out because he doesn't want to leak anyone's actual real address. I also don't understand why all these garbage content creators are constantly trying to dox people. Of course, doxing is obviously horrible and you shouldn't do it to anyone. That should result in like an automatic permaban if you're intentionally maliciously doing it. But for the most part, majority of these people getting doxed, it doesn't really do that much. Like, these people act like the people that they're doxing are like public enemy number one and they just have people lined up that are ready to attack them. Like, for the most part, the people that are usually getting doxed are just people that are majority liked by everyone, so even if their information is leaked out, of course there will be your couple bad apples, but it'll be nothing crazy like the people doxing them are expecting it to be. But after all of this, Cooking with Jack pretty much made a 1-hour live stream supposedly addressing everything that people were talking about, but instead of him addressing everything, he addressed nothing.
He wants everything.
Then we'll give him nothing!
The only thing that he did say relating to anything is that he didn't dox them, people lied, he didn't even know what doxing means, and he didn't do it.
The doxing that I've been accused of doing to another YouTuber, I would never do. I didn't do it. Somebody fabricated an email. I'd love to see the email.
Like, what type of argument is that? I didn't even know what doxing means. I had to look it up. Like, let's say that is true and you didn't know what doxing means. That still has nothing to do with anything. You don't have to know what a crime is to commit it. That's like me robbing a gas station and then immediately following it up with, I didn't even know what armed robbery was. I had to look it up. Like, what are you talking about, man? But yeah, that's pretty much where the situation is at now. If anything new comes out, I'll make sure to keep you guys updated, and that's pretty much it. I'll catch you guys in the next one.